He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Greetings, citizens of Gotham, and welcome to Bat Minute Forever, the show that flips through Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever, 1 minute at a time. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And you're waiting for your co-host to deliver you from evil, aren't you, my friend?
Always.
Yes, I am the other host, Niall McGowan.
Yes, well, welcome back, everybody. This is minute 3 of Batman Forever. The minute starts with Debbie Mazar.
Hey. I'm actually actively pursuing Debbie Mazar to come on the show, so fingers crossed, people.
Ooh, hopefully. And the minute ends with the promise of a coin toss. The first of many to come.
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
Too many.
We were talking about the coin toss off in the green room. It was like, I kind of want to resume the conversation, but we'll wait till we get to it in the scene at least.
Oh, we will. But yeah, we're back with the Batmobile zooming off into the night, and we, as I said, we do get some names pop up. Specifically, Debbie Mazar. We get Joe Grifasi.
Yeah, he is coming up in this minute though, at least. So
yeah, He's the first problem I have with the movie. But, it's not his fault. It's fine. And there's a reason I saved the middle name for last. Because A, you all know who it is. And B, I have trouble pronouncing his name.
Oh, yes.
René Auberjonois,
I believe.
Auberjonois, who is playing Dr. Burton, which is genius. I think that's the funniest thing.
Well, that's the thing, though, because I guess we might as well now. We're already talking about the guy. Now would be the time. And people who have been tearing their hair out since Wednesday's episode going, they didn't talk about the alternate opening. Mm-hmm. But now is the time. It's like, of course, yes. This was, as much as I was saying minute 2 is the best minute of the whole movie, was not originally designed to be the opening of the movie at all. Most versions you get the novelization doesn't have it at the opening. That the Peter David novelization I have, which is great. It's 67 pages in before it gets to anything to do with the film, which is like as a guy doing his own thing altogether. But we'll talk about that in much more depth as we go throughout the movie. Even like the comic book adaptation doesn't open with the original opening of this movie, of course, was the escape of Two-Face, and terrific deleted scene. Like it's one of those things. They say Joel Schumacher says a lot of the stuff that was cut was to get it down to a 2-hour movie, because originally the original cut was 2 hours 40 minutes.
Yeah, that is too long. Let's be honest.
The thing is, though, everything he cut out is just like, yeah, you kind of needed this though. But like, I think it was also a bit of studio like, we told you to make it lighter, Joel, and you're starting off on a really gothic kind of territory again. Because
yeah, I get though that might work as in to bring in the old fans, and then you can introduce the new concept slowly. But I also see what they go for in the final product of just throw the new stuff at people from second one.
Yeah. But like, of course, in case people aren't familiar with the scene, you can get it on YouTube. It's quite readily available. But so it opens with a windswept shot of a redly lit, not readily lit,
redly,
but like red. It's lit all in red of Arkham Asylum. It would have been the first shot of Arkham Asylum on any in any film, basically. But yeah, it opens with, again, Dutch tilt, actually, throwing back to the 60s show. But and it looks awesome. Really nightmarish Frankenstein's castle-esque looking Arkham Asylum.
Looks awesome.
And a shot of like a light swinging in the wind. The thing is, it's very Twin Peaksy. And then later on, you get a big thing about a rotating fan in the roof, which is also very Twin Peaksy. So you never know. Maybe Schumacher was like, I like that show. I'll throw in a couple of little nods there. But then, it cuts to René Auberjonois as Dr. Burton, and they've blatantly made him up to look like Tim Burton because he's got the big, crazy Tim Burton hair. Stomping down the corridor we'll see at the end of the movie to visit Harvey Dent. The security guard outside says, well, hell of a night out there, Doc. And Renee says, no, hell's in here.
Oh, something serious is behind that door.
And goes in. I think they were trying initially to have this, the opening scene and then the ending scene of the movie would be mirroring, because in a very similar fashion as to when Chase is looking into the Riddler cell at the end, he goes in and you see the same kind of shot of just like this weird rubber room that Harvey Dent's in, and he keeps saying like, oh, Harvey, and then at one point out of desperation he's just like, Two-Face, to see if that will reach him. Touches the hunched silhouetted figure in the room, and it turns out it's the guard, like it's one of the guards, tied up inside. Has some reason is linked up now to the rotating fan on the roof, so he goes hauled up and spinning around on top of the roof and stuff. And Dr. Burton's like, oh my god! And we see that Harvey Dent has cut through the roof of his cell, and has written in what appears to be blood, "The bat must die."
I love that. I think that's so dark and twisted.
Oh, it's terrific as well. As weird because this was an image that was heavily featured in a lot of promotional stuff. The shot of the bat must die, but it's not the one you see in this deleted scene. At the beginning of the Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me YouTube video, you see the bat must die written in white somewhere, and it looks like it's been taken from a deleted scene of the movie. But in this, they've got it. They could have put a filter on it, maybe, and maybe it is still white, but they wanted to make it look more like blood, so they altered it that way.
Yeah, but, probably. That makes sense to me.
But again, dude, like, the idea maybe they were hemming and hawing because they're like, you can write it, but then the blood's a bit much, and then it's just like, and again, I was talking about Peter David's novelization, which is terrific and has that scene slightly differently played out in that. You see the guard who Two-Face attacks goes in, and it gives him a whole backstory about he's in loads of debt. He's looking for any kind of payout, and so Two-Face is going to give him half of the $2 million that he stole because it's Two-Face. So if he brings him a torch so he can cut through the roof, which explains why the hell Two-Face was able to cut through a metal roof.
There you go.
And when he goes in there, he has a conversation with Harvey Dent, who's all in silhouette, and he's got the coin in the cell with him, because I don't think they would give him the coin. Do you think you want to separate him? They absolutely
would not let him have the coin for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, he could fashion a weapon out of it. You could sharpen it. But also, it's not helping his delusion.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, Arkham looks like it's a pretty bad hospital.
Yeah, that's
really
the one
dirty
problem. That's my one problem with this whole world, this whole Gotham sort of thing. They keep putting these criminals in Arkham. Why? It's a terrible, terrible institution that doesn't help anyone.
It's literally one of the brightest stars they had coming into Arkham Asylum. Mere months later came out as a new supervillain in the form of Harley Quinn. So it's you really need to look at your hiring policies and just, what Bruce Wayne, he's supposed to be pumping money into the city. Why isn't he pumping more money into Arkham Asylum to get it up the code?
Yeah, well, that would help his job.
But within that, then Two-Face is flipping the coin, lands Scar side up, and then he turns around and stabs the guy in the throat with a double-edged razor, because it has to be double, because it's Two-Face, right? So kills that guard. And then Dr. Burton comes in and finds the guy's dead body, and it's supposed to be the blood that he's written. The bat must die. Terrific scene. Really, even with the guard not murdered, just him just been tied up in there, still would have been... They should have kept it, I feel. I think it would have been a much... And I love the beginning of this movie, but I feel that would have been a better start.
I don't know what I think. I love it. I think it's fantastic. But I really like the way this movie starts, the finished product. the way it just sort of begins. Batman Begins.
Yeah, he does begin. As is his want.
The way it sort of starts in the middle of stuff. It's a bit like Star Wars. You know, the way Star Wars begins, and you've just got there's stuff happening. There's a war going on. You're not introduced to it. You're kind of dropped in the middle of it. It's a bit like that in this. Like, suddenly, Two-Face is here. He's evil. And it's establishing that this isn't the first time Batman's fought with him. There's a history that you've missed out on. And I find that fascinating. The world has gone on in between movies. It hasn't felt static.
You know, and then, because in this movie, the relationship between Batman and Harvey Dent, which is a real crux of a lot of, you know, Two-Face plot lines, is mentioned, but it's not really anything they concentrate on.
Yeah, it's barely mentioned.
It's really just like, oh, you need help, Harvey. Give it up. It's just like, this guy's supposed to be like one of your best friends and stuff. What the hell? But of course, we'll be covering on the Patreon. The Long Halloween really goes into intricate detail about the, you know, survivor guilt that Batman has of like what happened to someone he, you know, entrusted, you know, was trusting so much he was actually going to reveal that he was Bruce Wayne and stuff too. And then, you know, because he wasn't there at the right time and things just got too hot, you know, his one of his friends got completely altered for the rest of his life and stuff. Yeah. But anyway, that's all stuff for later on in the movie.
Coming soon.
Though you were talking about like jumping in the middle of a story. Because to do, you know, research for this, I've actually just today started, you know, rewatching a lot of the Batman 60 shows, specifically the Riddler episodes, because I want to see if they lifted anything. And it was kind of weird because he's in the first episode, the Riddler, and that just jumps in like in the middle. It's just like Batman's established; he's already fought the Riddler loads of times, and it's just like, yep, you're just getting caught up to speed the whole time.
You know, these people are probably, if not, it's okay.
The weirdest thing about it was, though, because the 60 show is so, you know, notoriously light, the first scene of Bruce Wayne in the first episode, he's talking about my parents were murdered. Like, it seems really like this is very dark for the 60 show. And he mentions throughout the episode, like, yes, to avenge the murder of my parents. I was like, I don't think I've ever heard Adam West say the word murder on this show before.
I didn't think he did.
Yeah, so there you go. Apparently, they did at least have at the beginning, like, you know, they addressed the backstory and stuff. And it also ends on a weird note of Batman getting roofied in a nightclub.
What?
Yeah, the Riddler tricks him into coming into like a nightclub, and then Jill St. John drugs his drink, and then Batman's like, oh, my drink, it's doped! And then he collapses, and then the Riddler, you know, captures Robin and stuff. And then Batman's coming out still half cut from the drugs, trying to start the Batmobile, and the police are like, Batman, you can't try. It's like, I have to go get Robin and all this stuff. It's ridiculous.
This sounds perfect.
Oh yeah, it was great to watch, but it was really like, oh, this show, like going from like, oh, Bruce Wayne's parents tragically murdered to like, my drink has been doped and stuff like. And he's doing that gif you see of him doing the old the fingers across the eyes dance and stuff. That's Batman doing that. That's in that episode. So.
Wait, from episode 1.
Episode 1. That's when he's doing all the dancing.
What?
So like they didn't stick, you know, they didn't dick around. They were like straight into the good stuff. But anywho, speaking though of the 60 show though, because we're still kind of technically at the start of the minute, really, because at the Batmobile zooming down the tunnel, we see this weird feature where the hubcaps of the Batmobile don't rotate.
I love that. I thought that was a really cool little. Very of the time kind of thing. Late 90s, early 2000s, people had weird like hubcaps.
Yeah, it's just more like I suppose you can say that about anything in this Batmobile, but it is just like, but why? Like, why? Is it just like, I want people to be able to see the symbol
Yeah,
properly?
It looks cool. Because, you know, they might not recognize the car.
But speaking of the 60 show, though, because they have both a nice hark back to the 89 movie and the 60 show, I feel. Because you see that he's got the hologram in front of the Batcave, which we know from 89. One of the best minutes of that movie, when the Batmobile tore through the hologram at the front of the cave. And but the way it's coming out here, and the way, you know, the zooms past and then they kind of stay static on the shot of the trees, reminds me very much of when Batman and Robin would come zooming out of the Batcave in the 60s show. Like, I'm almost surprised they didn't do a little nod of having like the little collapsible roadblock sign there, and then having like Gotham City 14 miles as he zooms past. Like, it seems like I would have been, it could have been just like, should we put that in? Because that's, it
wouldn't have felt out of place, I don't think.
But it, all looks pretty cool. And then we get a cut to the new Gotham City. The times they are changing in this German expressionistic gothic Burton-esque nightmare-scape has now turned into Neon Dreamland, which is just the thing Joel Schumacher says, like, it's very much based on Japan, and you're like, yep, that's what it just looks like, a very colorful version of Japan.
Well, it literally is like a Chinatown kind of area, isn't it? It's almost like halfway to Blade Runner.
It looks like it's like a cheap, because even remember the establishing shots in Blade Runner had like this huge TV screen with like this Asian woman's face.
Yeah,
but in this they have like a little tiny, like
it's on the cheap version.
Yeah, it looks like a budget cut Blade Runner. Like, it's all loads of neon and spinning things and circular things and very very Chinatown kind of area. And then in the back there's like this big poster of like an Asian woman's face, and it's like that looks like they're making a call to Blade Runner. Like, you do get seeing some of the Gotham citizens. Most notably, there's like two women standing in the crowd, and one of them's got like proper like bright yellow hair, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, she's amazing.
At this point, though, you're kind of thinking like Two-Face and the Riddler probably don't look out of place in the streets. So this is what like the normal people of the city are dressing that nowadays. Because it goes, you get like there's a full-on hard Dutch tilt. Again, that's a 60 show thing, but they've gone very much into like, yep, this is the Dutch angle. That's weird because like Schumacher does acknowledge like, we're getting a little closer to the 60 show, but his main thing is like, I'm going for the Dick Sprang comic book era.
Yeah,
like he's very like it's based on comic books. It's not so much the show. It's he's going for comic book visuals. So, but yeah, the yellow-haired woman looks weirdly like Lisa Kudrow to me.
Oh my god, no, she does. That's crazy. Obviously, the hair's different, but everything else. Yeah,
would have loved it was like a Mira Sorvino lookalike was standing next to her. It's just like, I love living in Gotham with you, Michelle. Like, I know. And it was just like, that film wasn't out to the following year, but it could have been a Romy and Michelle prequel, which they did make, and it wasn't very good. But anyway.
Well, actually, you mentioned all these various other properties, and when I was looking into some of the names that were popping up, I saw John Dykstra, the visual effects supervisor. And so when I looked into him, I thought he sounded familiar, and yet he worked on Star Wars and then Battlestar Galactica.
Oh.
The original Battlestar.
Oh.
yeah, but there's an interesting thing here that it was crazy. Because after Galactica aired, George Lucas and 20th Century Fox began legal proceedings against Universal, saying he had ripped off Star Wars. John Dykstra.
So I knew that Lucas tried to sue Battlestar Galactica. I didn't realize I was going to make a joke about like maybe he came up with them and was like, John, I can't believe you've stolen our ideas, but he was literally
what he did. Because they had similar styles. Because Ralph McQuarrie did the concept art and stuff for Battlestar.
Yeah.
So it looked kind of similar anyway. And it gets even weirder. Lucas was annoyed because Dykstra was using equipment that had been developed and paid for from the Star Wars budget for Battlestar Galactica. So it's pretty crazy. And he relocated ILM at one point, and he rehired a bunch of people who'd left, but not Dykstra. He was not invited back. Everyone else who'd left was. He was not. In 87, Dykstra directed the FMV video game Sewer Shark.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is crazy. It's a crazy game. It's honestly good. FMV, it's real footage. The full motion video. It was gonna come out on this console called the Nemo, I think, which it used VHS tapes.
Oh.
But that got canned. So someone bought the rights, and it didn't come out till 1992 on the Sega CD. It was a launch title for the Sega CD, and it's oh boy, it's tough. Those early FMV games, My God. And I'm someone who doesn't mind playing Night Trap from time to time. But this one is no Night Trap. Like, I know you've brought up the new composer, but their name does pop up here. And I thought, like, I'm not too familiar with this name. But yet again, when I had a look, I am familiar with this name. I just didn't know it. Because I didn't realize that they did Pet Sematary, Alien 3, Demolition Man, Interview with the Vampire, Michael Collins. And the most important one to me is the Richard Hell movie, Blank Generation, the punk film there. So it's quite a range. That's a big, like, variety of styles. No one's ever going to say the music of Pet Sematary is like Michael Collins.
Yeah. I'll say, too, like, the soundtrack to Alien 3 is, like, crazy good. Like, it's really, really underrated. But yeah, go into all, like, he does got the short end of the stick, because it went from, like, iconic Elfman theme to these less well-received Schumacher movies, and then, of course, the 10-year gap, Hans Zimmer comes in, and he's a big deal. So then Ellen Goldwell's just kind of lost in the middle. But, like, his score for this is terrific. Like, there's particularly music we'll get, like, certain scenes later on where it's really, like, he's dipping in a lot to Danny Elfman territory at times.
Oh, yeah, you can hear it, but it's still his own thing.
But sometimes he's dipping into Danny Elfman territory in as much as, like, this sounds like Oingo Boingo. Like, this, he's going in that weird direction with it. But, of course, you know, we have a full movie they get of his score. But, like, Ellen Goldwell, very underrated composer. I did drop him a tweet the other week, just sort of letting him know that the podcast exists, hoping that he would leap on the opportunity, be like, well, why don't you invite me on your show? But as of yet, he has not.
Alas.
We'll see. Fingers crossed, people. But of course, in terms of fingers crossed, there'll be something down to luck. Ooh. And thing all about luck that comes up right now. I have to say, if you are going to introduce a fully formed version of Two-Face in your Batman movie, you can't really beat this intro to him, because the shot of the bat signal outside the window, and then the coin flipping up past and then landing on his hand, is like, that's perfect. That is the best way to introduce this character. And the music goes this kind of eerie, kind of slightly creepy, off-kilter way. Yeah, because you see, of course, the one side, classically, one side of the coin is the unscarred, the other half is completely scorched and scratched into. And we get an introduction to, a reintroduction to our old friend Harvey Dent.
Yeah, Billy D. Williams here.
Yeah, I'm looking at him there. I was like, Harvey, did you get like a haircut or something? Like, you look a bit different. I don't know what's going on with him there, but it's the stress of the job, I'm assuming.
Yeah, he's got a tough life.
Now, of course, he's now played by one Tommy Lee Jones. And we get, for this 1 minute, a bit of specifically Harvey Dent, whereas the rest of the movie he will be playing Two-Face. So this is his one little modulation he does in the film, where he starts off at this kind of, this seems like the Two-Face you know. This is the only minute we're going to get of that, really, because he's catches the coin and does this, you're counted on the winged Avenger to deliver you from evil, aren't you, my friend? Which is great line.
Every line he delivers is perfect. There's something about that voice of his. He doesn't need to do anything different. Just do that in every role you play. It's perfect. It's like it's whispered, but it's loud. Like, I can't really explain. It's very deep. You feel it. And even though he's mumbling, you're counting on the winged Avenger to deliver you from evil, aren't you, my friend? It's like very like, I can't even do his accent. He's got like a weird twang to his accent. Wherever he's from in America, if everyone sounds like that, they're onto a winner. Actually, here is the thing I alluded to earlier in the show. In the Akiva Goldsman draft, right? Instead of calling him, the Winged Avenger, Two-Face calls him Batass. He actually calls him Batass. Now, I can see why they changed that.
I was like, it doesn't... Well, again, though, because this... this is all supposed to come later in the film. But then they started off calling him badass in like the second scene. It's going a bit too silly. It's going down too much of a lackadaisically kind of like goofy route. Whereas the Winged Avenger sounds like it also sounds like something that like the people of Gotham would revere Batman as well.
Yeah, the paper would call him that.
Yeah, it makes more sense to this guard too, who's waiting for Batman. It's like, oh, that's what you're waiting for the Winged Avenger. Like he's talking to him in that regard, but it's like, you're waiting for badass to show up, aren't you? Doesn't have the same ring to it at all. Of course, the people are wondering. Again, this was not near the start of the movie originally. The movie was originally supposed to start with this Two-Face escaping. Then it would cut to the introduction of Edward Nygma, that whole scene where Bruce Wayne meets him at Wayne Enterprises. And then when Bruce looks out the window and sees the bat signal, he's actually going to this. Whereas in the finished film, he's going to see Chase Meridian. And that scene doesn't occur in the original script or the novelization or anything until well after like Dick Grayson's living with Bruce and stuff.
It's very different. I mean, it's the same scenes ultimately, but totally different order.
Yeah, just rejig it. It kind of works in his favor, though. It doesn't affect it that much. It's kind of a good reshuffle edit. Something like that could have been disastrous, but it actually goes like, no, this is okay. Everything still makes sense and stuff.
The original order of it, I think, is more traditional, let's say. That's how anyone would order a film and its scenes. That's how I would have written it. But this is very different. It's like this movie is over 2 hours long and it feels like it's half an hour long. It's non-stop. It's non-stop. And I think the way they've structured it is part of that. You're never without something being thrown into your face.
But one thing I will say, though, this is a thing I'll be keeping track of throughout. Because we talk about like all the edits of the movie, and there's a lot of deleted scenes that should not have been deleted, etc., etc. But in a weird twist, and I know this because I watched this VHS when I was a kid so much, and then in the mid-2000s, saw it on DVD and was just like, wait, what? And it was the thing I did not know. It was one of those I was kind of outraged when I found out about it. But upon the VHS release in the UK and European regions and stuff, the film was actually cut down a further 1 minute and 38 seconds to go from a 12 rating to a PG. And there's a lot of random stuff they cut out, and because I'd seen the original VHS so much, I now know like there's random lines that are thrown in, and some of them are like, we'll cover them as they come along, because like every one of them I'm still like, that still feels fresh and new to me. But because then in the original VHS version I had of this, that had like, oh, you're waiting for the Winged Avenger to deliver you from evil on you, my friend, and then the security guard Hawkins, as he's called, says like, are you going to kill me? And then it would cut to Two-Face saying, well, let's say we flip for it. Whereas they cut out him going like, oh, maybe not. We're of two minds of the subject. Are you a gambling man? I was like,
that's one of the best bits of the film.
Yeah, I was like, why did they cut that? Because the other stuff they cut is like some kind of close-ups of Two-Face's, grotesqueness and stuff. And it's a bit like, well, that's just like, oh, we needed to cut something, so
yeah,
that's
it's
just
like just randomly hack bits out.
Yeah, it could be like, may I suggest you take a sandwich with you? Just like cut that line there. Like, I'll get drive.
That's like watching a movie on ITV or Channel 5, and it just goes to the break. And once I saw it go to the break in the middle of a sentence, they don't care about. They just edit movies down. They're not interested.
It's always ITV still got the thing though. They're the only channel that still does it, where they have the little black and white thing in the top corner.
Oh yeah, for our American listeners, yeah, when you were going into the ads, it would tell you a few seconds before.
It's weird though. Again, when you watch VHSs of movies that you really loved when you were a kid, if you tape them off the TV, you can still sense the ad break coming. I was thinking when I was on Mogwai the last time. I was just like, I remember Gremlins 2. I remember when it broke the line. It broke for News at 10 with Trevor McDonald, because I had the same taped off VHS version taped off the TV for years. So I was still like, this one bit here where he says that's where it cut for the News at 10.
So that's when you pause it and go to the toilet and things.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. It was just like, all right, you have to get down on your knees. That was such a bizarre concept to me now, that like big new films that came on the TV and it was just standard practice, it would stop in the middle of it for 45 minutes for the news. and then you come back and see the end. It's like, if you pitch that to anybody now in this age of Netflix, people will be like, get the hell out. Not a goddamn. Why would I want to do that? Why would you enforce that upon people?
It's ridiculous.
Would you even now, like, I suppose some people, maybe that's why people like Netflix as well. It's because, like, well, you can pause it and go and have a shower and do it, whatever.
Yeah, but it's your choice.
Yeah, but to have, like, the things were kicking off in Gremlins 2. And then I had to wait for 45 minutes while Trevor McDonald talked about what John Major was up to for 45 damn minutes. I was just like, what the hell?
Damn you, John Major! There's a lot to damn the Conservative Party for, but we won't go into that. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. It's interesting here as well how Two-Face seems to be deliberately hiding the injured side of his face from the camera. Like, as if to save it for a big reveal. Because it ends up being a cool look, right? But it's not that shocking a reveal. It's not like The Dark Knight. It's just, he's got a purple face? Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Well, we'll get to it next minute when we actually see it. But you're saying, like, it's a good look. Is it? Like,
I think it's fascinating. It's very cartoon. It's very comic book, which is what they're going for. So it's perfect. But I mean... It fits this Two-Face.
I will say, like, I'm not, we'll be discussing it throughout, but, like, I do think that I disagree with a lot of what they're doing with Two-Face in this. Like, I just don't. He's not. This isn't. That was actually why I think I enjoyed reading the novelization, because it was like, well, I'm not just going to imagine the characters. I'm going to imagine my own. So I was in my head, I was imagining, well, what if Billy D. Williams was playing this character? And then I was just like, well, all his dialogue and stuff, like, it works if you tone it way down and you make it more genuinely threatening. But Tommy Lee's just going for, like, crazy. And it's like...
Well, he's playing the Joker.
Yeah, exactly.
He's 100% just playing the Joker.
And it's just a bit like, nah, I just don't... Like, what you're doing in terms of the actual performance, it's fine. You're delivering what you're intending to do. I just don't think you should have done it. That's... But it depends, like, because we have, of course, then the guard on the floor, Hawkins, played by, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, Joe Grafassi. Because he's one of these guys, like, he's got that character actor thing of, like, when you see him here, he's like, oh, I've never seen that guy in everything else. And it turns out you've seen this guy in a lot of stuff.
Oh,
like,
is he a shapeshifter?
He's one of these people, like, he's in friggin'... It's in, like, The Deer Hunter. He's in friggin'... well, he does a lot of Law and Order, as apparently he's a judge on that. He's in the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel quite recently, which I love. He's in episodes of Elementary and stuff like that, but, like, goes way, way back, this guy. He was in Natural Born Killers. He's in friggin', he's in the Elephant Man, but it's not the David Lynch Elephant Man. It's a different version of the Elephant Man.
I didn't know there was a different one.
He's in Splash, of course, Tom Hanks. Brewster's Millions. He's in Moonstruck with Cher, of course. Oh. Rumored Catwoman Cher.
Yeah.
He's in a couple of the Naked Gun movies. He's just one of those guys you just go through. He's got, like, how many exactly has he got? 125 acting credits on IMDb. So this guy's been around. Like, but at the same time, you wouldn't think you've ever seen him in anything else. But, like,
no, I didn't recognize him.
I know you said you have beef with him, though. So,
well, it's not. Again, it's not the actor. It's just the character. He's so stupid. He's so nerdy and weak and feeble. And they've even deliberately made him look weak and feeble. He's a little bit overweight. He's got glasses. He's got a hearing aid. It's just like...
Again, that novelization, the hearing aid, it makes it seem like he's supposed to be like an old man. And then you watch this, like, this guy's about, like, 35. Like, he doesn't look old.
Well, I'd say in his 40s, but that's not old anyway, really, is it? In the grand scheme of things.
Although, to be fair, though, I did just watch all of Undone, which has Rosa Salazar, who actually I think Rosa Salazar in real life is about 37, but she looks about, like, 22. Mm-hmm. And her character has a hearing aid in it because she's deaf, basically. But she has a hearing aid that apparently, and an implant that cures it all.
Well, that's another reason I didn't like that in this, is because they are 100% using that as a trope of, like, oh, he's weak. That doesn't make him weak.
Just use the screenwriters. He's weak. He's just a weakling. Useless.
Yeah, he's a weakling. He needs Batman.
He does have a lot of like he is going for a 60s show acting, because like we'll get to it like in the next week or so, but like the whole but you said you'd let me love and all this like hey, that's my hearing aid. It's like he kind of reminds me a bit of like in South Park they have Kyle's cousin Kyle, like who shows up and he's just the most annoying whinging ass. Like, oh my god, this chair is so hot. I think I might get a splinter if I sit here for too long. Does anybody have a jacket? He's just that level of like annoying. But I didn't mind him. I thought like for what he's doing, this is like I just need like an asshole dweeby citizen for Batman to come and save, and they're going for a more.
He's a security guard.
Hey, we both know a guy who was a security guard. Ross Ellis was a security guard for a bank for some time.
I did not know that.
And the reason I remember he was because he used to complain because he had to watch it at night, and he complained that the chair he sat in was so hard that he couldn't fall asleep properly. Because he was just there like, yeah, so show up, put my feet up, have a nap. Who's going to rob the bank? Nobody's going to rob the bank. It's like, your entire job is to watch the freaking bank. And
but nobody's going to rob it.
Yeah, no fairness to Ross. Like, he's a fit guy. He's in terms of he is physically fit. But he's not the type I can imagine enforcing any kind of security upon anybody.
No.
He's not someone, I think a lot of that too is just like, I think even seeing kind of like Point Break and stuff, when like the botched robbery at the end's happening and the security guard's just down on the floor and the undercover cop guy, who's not Keanu, the other undercover cop guy, is just going to him like, I'm going to take out the gun, and the security guard's just like, no, don't do anything, because they're like, I think security guards' thing is just like, keep an eye on stuff and make sure nothing weird's happening, but I don't think they're expected to do a lot. Like,
no, there's no way I would do anything.
Yeah, I think they're kind of like I think the gun and stuff's more for show. Like it's kind of like, yeah, don't risk your life. Basically, I don't think they're expected because police officers and stuff are expected to risk their lives because they go through not years of training, but they go through proper training and it's a mindset and whatnot. I imagine, but like I think security guard is just a gig to some people, and it's like, hey, if the place gets robbed, unless you've got some way that you can take care of it without in any way coming to harm, just put your hands up and get down on the floor with everybody else,
Hell yeah. You couldn't pay me enough to care. That's the thing. It's not my stuff.
I still always like that kind of mindset. That just one of the best moments of Iron Man 3. Is it Iron Man 3? Yeah, I think it is Iron Man 3 when like at the end in the Guy Pearce's compound, and like Tony Stark's got his Iron Man glove back and he's blasting people left, right, and center. And then he just comes up to one henchman, and the henchman instantly just puts down his gun and goes like, hey, you know what? I don't even care. Just walks away. And
that'd be me.
Yeah. I can understand it too, because it's like, hey, you're not paying me enough for this. Like, I'm not. He is very visibly killing people that I know. Yeah. And like, it's like, I'm not risking my life for some asshole. So
no,
I'm out of here.
I can't even imagine what you would have to be offered to go along with that.
I think you need to have that, like, you need to be indoctrinated. I guess it worked with, like, the Nazis, because they were kind of brainwashed, basically, into, like, well, not brainwashed, but they were whipped up into a frenzy of, like, this is, pledging undying loyalty and stuff. I think if you have some sort of, like, personal connection to the belief system of whatever you're defending, maybe then. But if it's just a job, why would anybody risk their lives for these things? But oh well. That's a philosophical discussion for another day.
Yes, we will get to that.
But if we are wrapping up here, I will, for the first time, God knows how this section might go down. It might be the last time.
No, keep it going. It's great.
We'll come to the conclude. On Monday, John, I posed to you the question: riddle me this. Why is an orange like a bell?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for days and I still can't come up with it.
Yeah. So shall I reveal the answer?
I'm going to be embarrassed at how obvious this is, most probably, but yes.
Yeah, because they both need to be peeled. Because you peel a orange and you peel a bell when you ring it.
Oh, God.
That's the way I am, like, with most riddles, though. Because
Yeah.
I'm terrible at them, too. And then when you're told the answer, you're like, oh, of course, it's so damn obvious.
Oh, I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate the Riddler. I hate riddles. I hate puzzles.
Well, to be fair to the Riddler in this one, he only has, like, 4 of them.
Yeah, he hardly riddles.
He's basically just like, I guess That's almost as afterwards. They're like, isn't this supposed to be the Riddler? It's like, oh
Yeah,
crap!
put a couple of riddles in there somewhere. I don't know.
So you never. Oh, all the Riddler stuff will have to
Save
wait.
it.
Oh, dying to get to him. This is
Yep,
really.
We'll head off into the dark, dark night. Will we return on Monday? I mean, it's a bit up in the air at the moment. I'm going to toss this coin. I have here in my hand a coin. I'm going to toss the coin. Heads. Which one do you think? Heads, we come back. Tails, we just cancel the show.
I think heads, because then people wear headphones to listen to a podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
And tails, because then gets us turning our tails and running. If not,
Yeah, let's give it a go. I'm going to toss this coin. Let's see.
Da, 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 da,
Heads.
hey, there we go.
We're coming back on Monday, folks, for more Batman It Forever. I almost called it Returns, like Niall did earlier in the week. But in the
I have
meantime,
a feeling that's going to be a recurring thing for the first 4 months of the show.
Well, that's what we did last season. We kept calling it Batman at 89.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, do talk to us on Facebook at the Batminute Listeners Cave, on Twitter at Batminute, and come to our Patreon. You know, come and check out all our bonus episodes on there. You can get it quite cheap. It's good, and it helps us out. It gives us more money for our insane drinkathons. I mean, it gives us more money for the hosting fees of the podcast, yes. And we've got T-shirts on TeePublic, so come and check those out too. And we will see you again on Monday for Minute 4 of Bat Minute Forever.
Next time, Flipadelphia. A mutilated miscreant muses on metaphysics, while his marred mug nearly makes a mewling sentry sick. But as a wheel of fortune is spun in the shape of a dented doubloon, will this cowering custodian have his light extinguished too soon? Fate awaits on Monday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute. Ba-da-da.